Welcome to another Watertrek 360. I'm back here in Captain's Cove in Bridgeport, Connecticut, ready to go out into the beautiful cold green waters of Long Island Sound. As you know, I've been searching for an underwater housing for my iPhone 13 Pro. Today we're going to be looking at the ProShot dive case, not the Touch, they make two. I'm not affiliated with ProShot, I purchased this myself. I'll be using a rating system based on 1 to 10, mostly for scuba videography, not really designed for snorkelers or freedivers, where I look at depth, durability, ease of use, versatility, and cost. So we're going to see how this guy does. Who knows? Maybe I found a keeper.
I ordered the ProShot dive case directly from ProShot's website. I will put a link in the description. I did not buy the ProShot Touch as it was only good to 50 feet and my minimum cutoff is 60, and the Touch only fits the iPhone 12s. The package included a carrying case. It came with a floating mounting stick with a GoPro-style coupler and a lanyard, and I added 3 lens filters. It has a full front face and a wide full-screen backing to view phone controls and the viewing screen. There are only 2 buttons to control the phone, leveraging the up-down volume buttons on the iPhone 13. It's pretty easy to open. There are 2 side clamps holding the internal sleeve. There's a small lever to pull down and then a top clip which opens from the middle and you can pull out the sleeve. It's pretty lightweight and made of plastic. You don't need to move any screen protectors. Cleaning is simple. Simply wash out the inside and soak the O-ring attachments. The sleeve has a top slider bracket that holds the phone secure. You insert the phone into the sleeve, making sure you align the up-down volume buttons to the plus-minus levers on the sleeve. The left button picks the mode, the right is the select button, which snaps the picture or stops a video or selects whatever you look for from a mode, whether it's zoom, wide angle, etc. You insert it back into the case and you're almost ready to go. If you have a phone that needs additional support, they provide these extra spacers to help keep it in position. In order to use the housing, you have to download the ProShot Case app. The first thing you'll want to do is go to Settings and pick what settings you'd like to have. First, I went to Select Camera Modes. I basically turned all modes on except timer since I wasn't doing time shots and I wanted to test each mode. I went back to main settings, then turned on underwater mode, left bright sun off since I would be underwater. I turned on 60 FPS, 4K, and leaving off anything else I wouldn't use. Under timer settings, I reduced the timer delay to 1 second just in case. I hate latency underwater. Then, under Advanced Settings, I turned on both RAW for photos and the wide gamut color, in case I wanted to play with it. We'll get back to both of these later. Then you exit Settings, go back into the app, turn the phone on its side, and you can select the mode. You'll see the little blue wave showing that you are in underwater mode. The left button is to select the mode. Keep scrolling through the selected options you want. If you didn't enable a mode in settings, it doesn't show up in the display. The right button takes the picture or stops the video. First stop here is photo. Click the right button to snap the picture. Video is the same deal, although now you can see the icon changes to red showing you are recording. You do the same with slow-mo. We'll come back to time-lapse in a bit. There are 3 levels of zoom. You have to set this first, then navigate back to photo, video, or slow-mo to use it. We'll cover zoom again later as well. If you decide to put it into selfie mode, then you have to do the same. Navigate back to the mode you want in order for it to take effect. Wide angle is the same process. It has a sleep mode, but I'm not sure I'd ever use that, except maybe topside. All footage is saved directly to your iPhone's camera roll. If you don't turn on 4K and 60 FPS, standard video is 1080p at 30 frames per second. Slow-mo is 1080p at 120 FPS. If you have 4K and 60 FPS on, then standard video is 38 by 40, 2160 at 60 frames per second. Slow-mo is still 180p at 120 FPS. So the good. Comes with a nice carry case. It's depth rated to 130 feet. The plastic case has a light travel footprint. There's no need to remove any screen protectors. It comes with 3 filters, red, pink, and magenta. It needs no vacuum, no batteries, is relatively cheap. I paid $160 for it. Comes with a floating hand grip that's compatible with all GoPro mounts. That said, I opted to use an existing tray that I have. The app navigation is pretty simple, only has 2 buttons, and it fits a range of phones, including reportedly the new iPhone 14. It also includes a 12-month iPhone protection guarantee included in the purchase. That's pretty cool. The bad. It's nice that it came with 3 filters, but the filters are not changeable underwater. Once set topside, that's it, since they are clamped internally. Also, there is no capability to use any external wide-angle or macro lenses. The next concern is the O-ring keeper. They suggest you soak it and keep it clean after each dive, but there is no way to replace the O-ring if it has an issue. I contacted ProShot, and they said if the O-ring keeper fails, you have to send for a whole new O-ring holder and possibly a sleeve, since I don't see how they come apart. The housing itself is not as sturdy as others I've seen, as you can hear in the audio here. This applies as well to the housing clamps, which are pretty flimsy. For something that goes to 130 feet, I thought there would be a tighter snap. The plastic is lightweight and does raise concerns now over depth. This latest housing is ProShot's first that is rated to 130 feet. Another thing I don't like is where the buttons are compared to the lenses. The buttons are right-handed, but the phone lenses were also put on the same side. This will be problematic for still photographers. In several videos, my fingers got in the way when using the buttons. Other housings I have, the lenses are on the top left, even with a right-hand trigger. Always ensure you've tested all the buttons before taking it underwater. If you haven't and it prompts you, like for photo selection, then the camera's not usable. The big ugly is the app itself. The app primarily uses the standard lens. Zoom internally is not usable. There is no cinematic mode. It's all through the app. If you set wide angle, it does use the internal wide angle for photo, video, and slow-mo. I tested that by selectively covering the lenses while in each mode. The file information, though, for each image, however, says no lens information. The app apparently still has issues. Time-lapse did not work. Each time I tried to use it, it crashed my iPhone 13, requiring the phone to reboot. If you accidentally hit this underwater, you're out of luck. I then shut off time-lapse in the settings so it would not show up in the viewing mode scroll. It also crashed on me once using the in-stream tutorial on the phone itself. Prior to testing time-lapse, if I wanted to zoom for picture or video, I just picked the zoom I wanted, then navigated back to photo or video. Zoom no longer worked once time-lapse crashed my phone. That turned out to be a red herring. It turns out that if you have raw photo set to on, then try to use zoom with photo, video, or slow-mo, it doesn't work. It resets to the base 1 setting. So I shut off raw. For wide angle, you have to set it first and then navigate back just like with the others. However, wide angle settings for some reason always resets itself to disable whenever I exit the app, and you have to make sure you re-enable it every time you use the app. The footage is stored in your camera app as long file names inherent to the app. While this is not a huge issue, it is a pain having files with names like this. If you shoot RAW, it actually takes 2 photos, not 1. One is the RAW shot, the other is a JPEG. The RAW is roughly 10 times the size, but 2 photos, not 1. The same shot in JPEG without RAW takes a single photo, roughly twice the size of the JPEG that shows up when you shoot RAW. I tried the wide gamut color settings, not sure they work either after time-lapse crashed my phone. I shot videos with both wide gamut on and off. If you look at these file color settings, they're identical. When I airdropped them to my computer, I did it once with all photo data on and once with it off. They all showed up as HD 1-1-1. I couldn't get it to work in Final Cut Pro either. I reset the project and the library in Final Cut to be wide gamut, and still I could see no difference. I will leave it on, but I'm not convinced it works. With all the issues I had, I went back to the ProShot site and followed the instructions for troubleshooting. I deleted the app, hard reset my phone, and reinstalled the app from the App Store. I followed their guidelines, turned off touch, used guided access options as they stated, and the issues still remained. Time-lapse still crashes my phone, and zoom won't work if raw photo is turned on. I tried using the underwater color correction app, which you can't get to unless you shut off underwater mode. That part was missing in the instructions. I really wasn't too impressed with it. While you can shift the red balance, I think I'll stick with using Final Cut Pro for my post-production work, or actually the iPhone's editing features themselves. Lastly, it's battery consumption. Even though I put it into airplane mode, if you look at the battery loss, it drained way faster than I had anticipated, even when I put it into sleep mode for the app. This would be a concern on a liveaboard where you might only get 2, maybe 3 hours out of your phone. I've used other housings that do not require an app, and I got 4 to 5 hours of camera use and still had battery left. Well, this concludes a pretty tough review. Many of you know I have recently retired from a life's work in app development. In my experience, when an app has these kinds of issues, it usually means it was released too soon. So, leveraging my new ratings, ProShot for depth gets an 8, since it reportedly goes to 130 feet. From a durability standpoint, it gets a 7. The housing is not as sturdy as others I've used. The plastic is thin. The clamps are lightweight with minimal tension strength. The O-ring compartment needs a full replacement if it fails. While it's depth rated to 130 feet, this is ProShot's first case to that depth rating. I'm not sure I trust it, even with dive insurance. Ease of use, I give it an 8. There are no batteries, no Bluetooth. It slips easily into the sleeve. It has small setup and breakdown times. Yes, there were some issues with time-lapse, wide angle, and zoom, but once you address those in initial settings, navigation was pretty easy. Versatility, I give it a 7. It doesn't use all the lenses available on the iPhone. That's a negative. There are no alternative lens attachments available. There's no shoe mount. The red filter can't be removed as you change depth. The app drains the battery more than I had anticipated, and even though the housing supposedly supports the iPhone 14, with all the new capabilities of the 14, I'm not sure I would be using it with this housing. Lastly, I'm not sure what else the app does to override basic iPhone settings. Cost. I was a bit torn here. Price is reasonable, but concerns over durability and app issues pushed what would have been an 8 to a 7. So, my final rating for the ProShot Dive is a 7.4. This is a warm water housing as far as I'm concerned. It has limited use for me. Unless ProShot fixes their app issues, this rating is not likely to change. I contacted ProShot about my issues, but I have not heard back from them in time for the release of this video. If I do get any information from them, I will put an addendum into the description on YouTube. Anyway, I have other housings that I'm reviewing, one coming very soon, so do keep an eye out for that. Check out some of my other housing reviews for the iPhone 13 as well as my rec videos. I hope you're all enjoying your own dive adventures. And as always, until the next time, go explore, get wet,